One day everything changed. The world descended into chaos as flames and destruction swept through the city streets. The pandemic spread rapidly, claiming lives while fear took hold. People watched helplessly as society began to crumble. War erupted in response, further driving nations into collapse. Violence and confusion became the new normal. Economic collapse followed. Food shortages pushed people to desperation. Protests and riots filled the streets as hope faded. Strange phenomena surfaced. Sinister omens and unnatural forces began to manifest, spreading further unrest among the survivors. The ones responsible for humanity's downfall revealed themselves. Strange beings, monsters resembling figures from dark fantasies. Game-like elements started to blend with reality, transforming the world into something unrecognizable and terrifying. Survivors began discovering powers, adapting to this dangerous new existence as the rules of life shifted overnight. The division between ordinary life and this new reality deepened, leaving only the strongest to endure. Time passed slowly, but the world remained in shambles. Kim Jae-hyun stayed hidden, watching from the safety of his home. Kim Jae-hyun sat in his apartment, eating quietly. The outside world remained shattered, but inside, everything felt strangely normal. Despite the destruction, Kim Jae-hyun found comfort in daily routines, small reminders that life still held some normalcy. He took a drink, savoring the silence around him. For now, he lived in peace, untouched by the chaos. Yet loneliness lingered. The emptiness of the apartment only grew with each passing day. Kim Jae-hyun remained the last inhabitant of his 100-square-meter apartment, the sole survivor of his once bustling building. Kim Jae-hyun's family is gone, leaving him as the sole occupant of the empty apartment, surrounded by the ruins of the city. His floor remains untouched, abandoned like the rest of the building. The silence outside lingers like a ghost. Kim Jae-hyun reflects on why he survived. Years of isolation and careful living shielded him from the world's collapse. He stares at his phone, unable to contact anyone. The rare hum of electricity is his only connection to normalcy. As the day drifts by, Kim Jae-hyun sighs, staring into the void. The weight of loneliness begins to press harder. A sudden guttural roar echoes outside, breaking the silence. Kim Jae-hyun's head jerks toward the window, panic stirring in his chest. He sees movement in the distance. Monstrous shadows crawl across the shattered streets, hunting for any sign of life. Kim Jae-hyun stumbles backward as the roar grows louder, vibrating through the walls of his fragile sanctuary. He curses under his breath, pressing himself flat against the wall, hoping the creatures won't notice him. Another loud crash sends glass shattering. Kim Jae-hyun breathes sharply, unsure if his isolation will protect him this time. Kim Jae-hyun gasps as the monster approaches, claws scraping against the building's outer walls with eerie precision. He braces for the worst, trembling as something flashes across his vision, an interface like a game notification. The screen warns him. Unauthorized users attempting entry. His apartment suddenly feels like a fortress under siege. The message flickers. No one can enter without the ruler's permission. Relief floods Kim Jae-hyun's face as the barrier holds. The monster slams against the invisible boundary, failing to breach it. Kim Jae-hyun exhales, sinking to the floor, safe for now. Kim Jae-hyun steps near the boundary of his home, sensing the barrier's faint glow. It's the reason he's still alive. He remembers. This ability has shielded him from the dangers outside since the world collapsed. Survival came at a cost. Outside, distant footsteps echo, but the barrier rattles softly, stopping anything from coming closer. Kim Jae-hyun sighs, frustration bubbling as he paces the hallway. The isolation gnaws at him, even as it keeps him safe. He leans against the wall, mentally exhausted. The silence stretches endlessly, broken only by his own footsteps. Kim Jae-hyun slams his fist against the wall. Despite everything, he feels powerless. The barrier is both a shield and a cage. 3 days have passed since the world crumbled further. The barrier hasn't dropped, locking him in the apartment. Kim Jae-hyun stares at the canned food stacked in the corner. His supplies are running low, and no one can help. The apartment feels smaller each day. Even as monsters prowl outside, the isolation feels heavier than the threats. He sits down, lost in thought. The house protects him, but the weight of loneliness is suffocating. A glowing message flickers in front of him. The ultimate shut-in cannot leave the house. Kim Jae-hyun laughs bitterly. Ultimate shut-in, what a joke, he mutters. The barrier protects him, but at the price of total confinement. He runs his hand through his hair, sinking deeper into frustration. His only real problem now is food. Kim Jae-hyun eyes the dwindling contents of his fridge. The power cut out yesterday, spoiling what little he had left. He sits on the floor, staring blankly at the darkened kitchen. Even survival feels exhausting now. Kim Jae-hyun stares at the meager leftovers in his fridge. The side dishes won't last much longer at this rate. His supply of ramen is dwindling. Hunger gnaws at him, and he knows food will soon run out completely. Kim Jae-hyun leans back, lost in thought, when a sudden notification blinks to life in front of him. The system announces he has successfully hunted a Calican, granting him experience and increasing his skill level. Kim Jae-hyun blinks in confusion. How did he hunt something without even stepping outside his apartment? Curiosity piqued, Kim Jae-hyun walks toward the balcony, scanning for any signs of unusual activity outside. Below, a monstrous creature lies defeated, surrounded by lesser beasts clawing at its remains. Kim Jae-hyun realizes the creature must have collided with his house's barrier and perished. Unintended victories seem to follow him. A new notification flashes. He's obtained a skill, and loot calculations are in progress. Before he can process this, the monsters screech, angered by their fallen leader. Trouble is brewing fast. More monsters gather, drawn by the disturbance. Kim Jae-hyun watches uneasily as the swarm thickens. The loot calculation completes, awarding him a surprising sum of in-game currency. Kim Jae-hyun narrows his eyes. This new system seems too surreal, but the benefits are undeniable. He glances back inside, weighing his next steps carefully. Food might no longer be his biggest problem. As he reflects, a sudden chill runs down his spine. Something bigger might be lurking beyond the barrier. Kim Jae-hyun freezes as the lights flicker on. The electricity returns without warning, bathing the apartment in familiar warmth. A message appears, notifying him that utilities have been restored due to the house's defensive success. Relief washes over him. The system confirms the ultimate shut-in perk now activates full household functions, resetting his living conditions to normal. Kim Jae-hyun grins widely. His sanctuary is secure, and the comforts of modern life slowly return. Excited, he rushes to check every corner, eager to confirm the house's utilities are truly restored. Kim Jae-hyun tests the water. Cool liquid runs over his hands. The house operates as if the apocalypse never happened. He lets out a shaky laugh, overwhelmed by the bizarre return of normalcy amid the outside world's chaos. Falling to his knees, he relishes the moment, celebrating the functioning utilities as his lifeline to comfort. His joy lingers, but uncertainty creeps back. Could the system truly keep things stable indefinitely? Kim Jae-hyun wonders if the house's defenses and abilities will hold out against stronger threats. For now, he chooses to savor the win. Kim Jae-hyun checks his phone, hoping the restored power might fix communication, but the screen flashes with the same error. Frustration returns as the inability to contact anyone reminds him of his isolation. He ruffles his hair, searching for another solution. Despite the victory, loneliness still lingers. In the corner, Kim Jae-hyun notices the growing pile of loot boxes, the spoils from defeated monsters stacking higher each day. Sitting back down, he shifts his focus to organizing loot and preparing for the days ahead. Survival is a game he must keep playing. Kim Jae-hyun's mother holds him tightly as a baby, standing in the garden. Her gentle smile feels distant yet vivid in memory. Time shifts. A young Kim Jae-hyun clutches his mother's hand, laughing as they walk together under the warm afternoon sun. His father joins them, standing tall and proud. The three share a rare, peaceful moment, untouched by the world's chaos. A birthday celebration unfolds. Kim Jae-hyun leans forward to blow out candles, while his family cheers around him, warmth filling the room. Reality returns. Kim Jae-hyun sits alone at his desk, eyes fixed on nothing. The memories feel heavier than the silence around him. Jin-ho exhales slowly, his mind filled with determination. The weight of isolation is unbearable, but he refuses to accept it. His fists tighten as he stares ahead. No matter what, he has to bring his family here, where it's safe. His resolve strengthens. The house is secure, a fortress against the chaos outside. He must find a way to reunite them. Jin-ho steps forward, determination burning in his eyes. His survival alone means nothing if his family remains out there. A faint smile forms. For the first time in a while, he has a purpose. He will not be alone forever. A glowing notification appears. Jin-ho stares at the new system feature, revealing a store where he can buy items. The system prompts him to list an item, showing his current balance. This changes everything. Survival just got a lot easier. Kim Jae-hyun notices a glowing screen appear, showing a store menu with strange items available for purchase. Rubbing his chin, he wonders if the store could actually be useful, or just another weird feature of his isolated life. With hesitation, he taps on the store icon, curiosity taking over despite the uncertainty of what might happen next. The display shifts, revealing his balance. Kim Jae-hyun blinks, realizing the system tracks his money down to the last one. As he reads further, he notes the list item option, thinking of potential ways to take advantage of this new feature. Kim Jae-hyun approaches the window, wondering if the system updates would finally let him step outside his apartment. As he tries to leave, a message confirms what he expected. He's still bound to the house, unable to exit. He sighs, leaning on the railing. No matter how much his level rises, the outside world remains unreachable. But outside, shadows shift. Creatures emerge, confirming that leveling up brings more enemies, if not freedom. Kim Jae-hyun smirks. If monsters keep appearing, at least he can grow stronger, unlocking skills he might need later. Kim Jae-hyun reflects on the store screen, realizing that leveling up might eventually let him break through his confinement. But hunting monsters from a balcony isn't exactly ideal. He frowns, questioning how practical this grind can be. His thoughts drift to past battles, an unexpected encounter with goblins that pushed him to fight or die. He steps back, rubbing his neck. Goblins might return, but waiting for random spawns doesn't feel reliable. A thought clicks. If goblins show up again, maybe this time he can handle them faster and with less risk. Kim Jae-hyun tests his limits by throwing a water bottle off the balcony, watching it arc through the air below. The bottle spirals smoothly, and Kim Jae-hyun's eyes widen as it clears the balcony and lands outside his apartment. A grin spreads across his face as he realizes he can interact with the outside world by throwing objects. Kim Jae-hyun glances at his weights. If smaller objects work, heavier items might pack a better punch against enemies. Holding a dumbbell, he plans to test his strength and see if his skills can take down monsters from a distance. As Kim Jae-hyun leans over the railing with the dumbbell, distant noises catch his attention, raising the tension. A horde of goblins emerges, and Kim Jae-hyun's eyes narrow as he grips the dumbbell tighter, preparing to strike. The goblins growl and shift toward his building, confirming his fears. His smirk fades into focused determination. Kim Jae-hyun swings the dumbbell back, gathering his strength to throw with precision and maximum impact. With a deep breath, he hurls the weight down toward the goblins, hoping to eliminate as many as possible. The dumbbell hurtles through the air, cutting through wind resistance as Kim Jae-hyun watches nervously from his balcony. The weight crashes down, striking a goblin directly and causing nearby enemies to scatter in alarm. Kim Jae-hyun bites his lip, realizing he only managed to hit one. The rest remain, gathering for retaliation. He retreats momentarily, assessing his options. He knows this won't be enough if more goblins show up. Kim Jae-hyun grips the railing tightly, reminding himself to stay vigilant. For now, this is his best line of defense. Kim Jae-hyun freezes as loud screeches echo from below, his eyes widening at the sight of more goblins approaching fast. Among the crowd, a larger goblin roars, clearly leading the group. Kim Jae-hyun clenches his jaw at the sudden threat. The goblins charge, and Kim Jae-hyun realizes their numbers are growing far more than he anticipated from his position. He grips the balcony rail, heart racing, calculating his next move while the horde closes in. Despite the danger, Kim Jae-hyun can't suppress a shaky grin. This might be his chance to farm experience faster. Kim Jae-hyun watches the goblins from a distance, noting that as long as he stays above, he's out of their reach. The idea strikes him. If he can't fight up close, he can treat this like a strategy game from above. A smirk forms as he pulls back, realizing that this situation might not be so bad after all. He opens the system store, confident he can figure out a way to turn this into an opportunity. Kim Jae-hyun scrolls through the store, mentally preparing to exploit his surroundings to the fullest. Kim Jae-hyun selects the list item option, raising the dumbbell with a decisive nod as the interface glows around him. He grips the weight, ready to convert it into an asset. If he can't throw it, he'll sell it. Confirming the action, Kim Jae-hyun watches as the dumbbell vanishes from his grip, seamlessly listed in the system. The screen updates, showing the item's listing price, and Kim Jae-hyun grins at the unexpected but welcome cash flow. He steps back, satisfied. If this works, he might have just found a sustainable way to profit from his isolation. Kim Jae-hyun grins as he notices the dumbbell listed for the exact price he originally paid, sparking an idea. He taps the screen, realizing market prices remain stable, mirroring the pre-disaster world's online shopping systems. Without hesitation, Kim Jae-hyun confirms the purchase of 2 dumbbells, feeling like he's gaming the system. A bright flash signals the successful transaction, and Kim Jae-hyun pumps his fist in satisfaction. He prepares for the next step, gripping the fresh dumbbell tightly as it materializes in front of him. Kim Jae-hyun hurls the new dumbbell off the balcony, tracking its descent with excitement and anticipation. The weight plummets, striking a goblin with a satisfying thud, leaving a small crater where it lands. Kim Jae-hyun clenches his fist, ecstatic as the screen flashes, rewarding him for the goblin kill. Goblins scatter, but Kim Jae-hyun knows more are coming. He grins, satisfied with the system's potential. The reward notification chimes, adding currency to his wallet, reinforcing his strategy to farm goblins from above. Kim Jae-hyun celebrates his victory, confirming his kill streak is increasing, but the growing horde keeps his excitement in check. More goblins emerge, dragging their fallen allies aside while glaring toward Kim Jae-hyun's balcony. The situation shifts as larger goblins push forward, their expressions more aggressive and less easily intimidated. Kim Jae-hyun watches carefully, realizing he'll need heavier artillery or more items to throw. With a smirk, he reopens the store, ready to buy more weapons, or dumbbells, whichever gets the job done faster. Kim Jae-hyun purchases 3 more sets of dumbbells, confident that this strategy is becoming his best weapon against the goblins. The dumbbells materialize and Kim Jae-hyun wastes no time. He winds up and hurls one directly into the crowd below. The goblin below collapses from the impact, and the reward notification chimes, confirming another successful kill. Kim Jae-hyun watches as more coins are deposited into his account, reinforcing the efficiency of his improvised attack method. A notification surprises him. His skill level has increased, unlocking a new ability. Kim Jae-hyun grins at his growing strength. Kim Jae-hyun pumps his fist in excitement, feeling the rush of leveling up and the ease of goblin hunting from above. A new interface opens, Storage Level 1, granting him access to an alternate dimension for item storage. Kim Jae-hyun immediately tests the feature, selecting a dumbbell and watching as it disappears into the storage space. The system prompts him to confirm, and Kim Jae-hyun eagerly accepts, fascinated by the endless possibilities. With this ability, Kim Jae-hyun realizes he can now stockpile weapons without cluttering his living space. Kim Jae-hyun summons a dumbbell from storage, marveling at how easily the item appears directly in his hand. He grins, imagining how much faster he can react to sudden monster spawns with instant access to stored items. With another flick of his wrist, the dumbbell is returned to storage, vanishing as quickly as it appeared. Kim Jae-hyun's eyes gleam with excitement. This isn't just survival, it's starting to feel like an advantage. Smiling to himself, Kim Jae-hyun prepares for the next wave of goblins, confident that he can handle whatever comes next. Kim Jae-hyun smirks, eyes glowing as a plan forms. His balcony transforms into the perfect battleground for his idea. He peers down at the streets below, goblins still gathering. Kim Jae-hyun knows it's time to escalate the fight. Opening his storage, Kim Jae-hyun readies himself, knowing exactly what to unleash on the incoming horde. With a flick of his hand, he begins summoning dumbbells, his voice echoing as he calls for them repeatedly. Rows of dumbbells shimmer, dropping from his storage, floating in the air like an impending storm over the goblins. Dumbbells rain down like meteors, crashing onto the goblins below. Each strike sends shockwaves of dust and chaos. Goblins scatter in panic, but many fall under the relentless bombardment. Kim Jae-hyun grins, watching the carnage unfold. Notifications flood his vision, each confirming successful kills and the sweet sound of earned money in his account. One goblin roars in defiance, shaking off the attack, but Kim Jae-hyun isn't worried. His storage isn't empty yet. As the system prompts him to list more items, Kim Jae-hyun eagerly agrees, prepared to send another wave of destruction. Kim Jae-hyun listed random items for sale, trying to make use of the strange shop system at his disposal. He added groceries, tools, and even the dumbbell used to crush a goblin during his first encounter. As he checked his inventory, Kim Jae-hyun noticed his balance had decreased by 1-1, sparking mild confusion. With a sigh, he wondered if the drop was part of some hidden system cost he overlooked. Keeping his pride intact was crucial, but even the tiniest expenses made him question the mechanics behind this world. Kim Jae-hyun reflected on the cost of maintaining utilities as his fridge hummed, draining resources bit by bit. The memory of goblins fleeing after his unconventional dumbbell assault resurfaced, leaving him frustrated at their escape. Only 2 goblins had fallen since, forcing Kim Jae-hyun to rethink his strategy for future hunts. He stared out the window, contemplating if other creatures could provide him the resources he needed. His desire to maintain his odd yet functional lifestyle drove him to seek out new targets relentlessly. The thought of alternative prey lingered as Kim Jae-hyun scanned the surroundings, hoping for any signs of monsters. Yet the streets lay barren. Nothing but silence and empty air greeted his sharp gaze. He leaned against the balcony, realizing new tactics might be necessary to survive this strange new normal. Kim Jae-hyun chuckled softly, fantasizing about the absurdity of a massive flying beast like a Doomacalican appearing. A subtle noise shifted his attention, narrowing his eyes to catch an unexpected movement in the distance. Kim Jae-hyun's eyes widened as a large shadow crossed the sky, signaling something unusual approaching from above. The creature's massive wings spread wide, and Jun's heart raced at the unmistakable sight of a calican. He quickly braced himself, realizing this was the opportunity he had been waiting for all day. Kim Jae-hyun's adrenaline surged as he hurried to grab his weapon, knowing this was his chance for a major kill. With determination, he prepared for battle, convinced luck was finally on his side after so much searching. Kim Jae-hyun dragged a heavy chair to the balcony, improvising a tool to launch at the airborne Calican. He carefully balanced the chair on the railing, locking his eyes on the creature soaring closer. With precision, Kim Jae-hyun heaved the chair forward, watching it spin directly toward the flying beast. The Calican screeched as the chair collided, sending feathers scattering across the sky. Kim Jae-hyun grinned as the Calican flinched mid-flight, signaling his unexpected attack had landed successfully. The Calican roared in frustration, its gaze locking onto Kim Jae-hyun as it circled back for retaliation. Kim Jae-hyun laughed confidently, thrilled by the challenge as the creature's approach confirmed his strike had worked. The Calican's cries filled the sky, but Kim Jae-hyun was ready, already preparing another attack from the balcony. Seeing the damage, Kim Jae-hyun felt certain victory was near if he kept pressing the offensive. He clenched his fists, eager to finish the fight, believing this victory could push him to level up once more. Kim Jae-hyun braced himself as the Calican's attack sent shockwaves through the balcony, forcing him to stumble backward. He barely managed to dodge as the creature's claws scraped the railing, missing him by inches. Panting, he steadied himself and glanced toward the sky, disbelief washing over him at the Calican's relentless pursuit. The beast's cry echoed loudly, and Kim Jae-hyun's grip on the railing tightened, unwilling to let his chance slip away. Despite the danger, Kim Jae-hyun's eyes flickered with excitement. This was exactly the kind of challenge he needed. As the Calican loomed closer, Kim Jae-hyun's system activated, alerting him that the creature had entered combat range. A surge of energy rushed through him as he readied himself, knowing this was a critical moment to act. The interface displayed the enemy's stats, and Kim Jae-hyun's heart raced at the high-level threat it posed. He smirked despite the odds, recognizing that this was the thrill that pushed him forward. The Calican dived aggressively, but Kim Jae-hyun stayed calm, prepared to fight until victory was his. Kim Jae-hyun's mind raced as the Calican battered the balcony, causing the railing to creak under the pressure. "Open store," he shouted, quickly accessing the shop system in hopes of finding something useful. As the familiar interface loaded, Kim Jae-hyun scanned the list, searching for any item that could turn the tide. His eyes narrowed, calculating his options while the Calican continued to strike, drawing closer to breaking through. Kim Jae-hyun grinned, realizing he could outsmart the beast. Victory was still within reach with the right strategy. Kim Jae-hyun recalled how previous goblin corpses had been taken, resulting in no loot. He couldn't afford the same mistake. The thought of losing another valuable chance made him grit his teeth, determined to kill the Calican quickly. Desperation fueled his thoughts as he scanned the store interface for anything capable of dealing a fatal blow. His eyes widened at the realization. There was one simple but effective method he hadn't tried before. Without hesitation, Kim Jae-hyun ordered 10 bottles of canola oil, confident that he could turn them into a weapon. The system confirmed his purchase, and Kim Jae-hyun rushed to gather the bottles, carrying them all at once. He quickly poured the canola oil into a large pot, his mind racing to prepare it as fast as possible. Flames flickered as the oil heated, Kim Jae-hyun carefully monitoring the temperature, ensuring it would reach the right level. A determined grin spread across his face. This wasn't a conventional battle, but he was confident in his approach. The Calican's screeches outside only pushed him further, knowing this boiling oil might be his best shot at victory. As the oil reached its boiling point, Kim Jae-hyun carefully lifted the pot, feeling the heat radiating from the surface. He activated the store, ready to list the new item, knowing the system would enhance its lethality. The pot tilted, and the golden liquid poured steadily onto the interface platform, shimmering as it registered. The screen flashed. "Boiling hot canola oil has been listed." Kim Jae-hyun smirked, the weapon finally ready for use. With lighter in hand, Kim Jae-hyun prepared for the next step, ready to unleash chaos on the attacking Calican. Kim Jae-hyun ignited the torch, the flames dancing wildly as he raised it high with determination in his eyes. The Calican's piercing cry echoed as it circled above, locking onto Kim Jae-hyun's balcony with aggressive intent. Kim Jae-hyun glared at the beast, gripping the torch tighter as he prepared for his next move. The fire flickered against the wind as Kim Jae-hyun summoned the boiling canola oil from his inventory. His plan was simple: lure the Calican in close and unleash the scalding oil directly onto the creature. As the Calican dived, Kim Jae-hyun hurled the flaming oil, the liquid spreading mid-air and igniting instantly. The firestorm engulfed the Calican, causing it to screech in agony as the flames scorched its feathers. Kim Jae-hyun pressed the attack, launching more oil to ensure the fire burned deeper into the beast's skin. The Calican flailed violently, thrashing as it struggled to break free from the relentless inferno. Kim Jae-hyun shouted, driving the torch forward, unwilling to let the creature escape his grasp this time. A smirk crossed Kim Jae-hyun's face as the Calican's flapping slowed, its charred wings barely able to keep it airborne. The creature spiraled down, crashing into the balcony railing before plummeting to the ground below. Kim Jae-hyun watched with satisfaction as the flames continued to burn, signaling his hard-fought victory. The Calican let out one final shriek before its body collapsed, marking the end of the battle. Kim Jae-hyun leaned over the railing, eyes glinting with triumph as he awaited the loot to appear. The system message flashed, confirming Kim Jae-hyun's victory over the Calican and the massive experience gained from the battle. His skill level skyrocketed and a notification appeared, revealing he had unlocked a new ability from the fight. Kim Jae-hyun's eyes widened as the loot calculation began, his heart pounding with anticipation. Moments later, the screen displayed the final amount, over 9 million won, leaving Kim Jae-hyun speechless. He barely processed the message about house expansion, still reeling from the unexpected windfall he had just received. As the house began to shake, Kim Jae-hyun stumbled forward, gripping the railing tightly to keep his balance. Cracks formed along the balcony as the expansion process started, shifting the layout of the building. Kim Jae-hyun's grin widened, marveling at the transformation occurring before his eyes. The air vibrated as the territory grew, but something below caught Kim Jae-hyun's attention. A figure collapsed near the entrance, groaning in pain, making Kim Jae-hyun's curiosity spike. Kim Jae-hyun's gaze followed the figure, and he was stunned to see more people emerging from the neighboring house. They cautiously stepped outside, glancing nervously at the shifting environment around them. Kim Jae-hyun narrowed his eyes, recognizing the faces. They were the family from the house next door. He watched as they gathered, whispering anxiously while the strange expansion continued. Kim Jae-hyun leaned forward, realizing he wasn't as alone as he had initially thought in this bizarre new reality. Kim Jae-hyun clutches his head as the overwhelming noise from the outside world seeps into his once quiet, isolated space. Through blurry vision, Jae-hyun sees unfamiliar faces, a family standing nervously, their gazes pleading for help or shelter. His heart races as he locks eyes with the strangers. Something feels off. Their sudden appearance makes no sense. A surge of energy pulses around Jae-hyun, forcing him to his knees. The weight of responsibility presses down heavily. Moments earlier, Jae-hyun was alone, reflecting on the peace he had clung to. Now everything is different in an instant. The figures are clearer now. A man and woman stand with their two children, uncertainty written across their faces. The eldest child holds her sibling's hand tightly, as if shielding her from the unknown. A strange message flashes before Jae-hyun, describing the family's eligibility to stay. Their presence isn't accidental. Jae-hyun hesitates, reading the prompt carefully. Granting them shelter means protection, but the responsibility feels enormous. The system waits. Jae-hyun knows this decision could change the course of his new reality forever. Jae-hyun paces anxiously, trying to make sense of the offer. Refusal could cast the family into a dangerous fate. The system clarifies. Rejection means the family will be expelled, possibly into harsh or unforgiving circumstances beyond his home. Jae-hyun stops. The thought of sending them away lingers. His instincts push him towards making the right choice. Without further hesitation, Jae-hyun grants the family shelter. A new chapter begins with them under his care. With the process complete, Jae-hyun senses the presence of others awaiting decisions. His quiet life is rapidly shifting once more. Kim Jae-hyun unlocks a new skill, Ultimate Eyes Level 1, granting him the ability to perceive everything within his house. As curiosity takes over, Jae-hyun scans through his interface, wondering if there's anything linked to the citizens he just took in. He accesses the citizenship management system, revealing a passive skill preventing anyone from entering his home without permission. Jae-hyun's eyes narrow as he locates the details. The system lists the family members under his care, showing trust levels. The population count appears, 4 citizens out of a possible 600, making Jae-hyun question the sheer scale of responsibility ahead. Jae-hyun stares at the cap, 600 people. The thought unsettles him as he tries to process the number's significance. Scanning the interface, Jae-hyun highlights Choi Hyung-jun, noting his trust level and the unassigned abilities under his profile. The system mentions EXP and money distribution, suggesting that Jae-hyun can control the percentage they share from their efforts. A smirk crosses Jae-hyun's face as he considers the potential for growth, seeing this as a way to grow stronger. Curious, Jae-hyun hovers over the quest option, realizing he can directly assign tasks to his citizens for rewards and development. Jae-hyun clicks into the quest system, noting that he can input custom details such as objectives, time limits, and penalties. A blank quest description stares back at him, prompting Jae-hyun to create a task for Choi Hyung-jun to complete. He carefully types out the mission, a simple goblin hunt with minimal risk and a basic reward to build trust. The system prompts Jae-hyun for penalty options, With hesitation, he wonders how strict he should be with failure conditions. Jaehyun grins slightly but adds a harsh penalty, death, testing the limits of control he holds over this strange new power. Kim Jae-hyun pauses, staring at the penalty for failure. The weight of absolute power settles in his chest. He cancels the quest with a sigh, realizing the danger of playing with lives, even as a ruler in his own space. A notification confirms Jae-hyun's cancellation, leaving him quietly reflecting on the influence he holds over his citizens. He crouches down, wrapping his arms around his knees, realizing the unsettling reality he could end their lives at any moment. Jae-hyun's gaze sharpens. The realization of his ability solidifies his resolve to use this power carefully moving forward. As night falls, Jae-hyun finds himself lost in thought. With citizens now under his care, uncertainty lingers. Activating his ultimate eyes, Jae-hyun scans the house, observing the family huddled together, tense and quiet. He watches the small group, noting their expressions as they anxiously wait for direction or assurance. Hae-hyun leans back, overwhelmed by the burden. The family's safety and survival now rest entirely on him. The father gently reassures his wife, but even in his voice, Jae-hyun senses doubt creeping through. The father stands, deciding to search for supplies, driven by the need to care for his children. His wife protests, fearful of the risks outside, but he insists, knowing they can't last without essentials. She questions if any stores would even have water left, but desperation overrides logic. He considers visiting a nearby convenience store, holding on to faint hope for basic necessities. The daughter tugs at her mother's sleeve, softly complaining of thirst, prompting the father to steel his resolve. The father kneels beside his wife, reassuring her that he will return safely with whatever supplies he can find. Her hesitant silence lingers as she lowers her head, unsure but trusting his resolve to protect the family. Kim Jae-hyun watches the scene unfold, his ultimate eyes activating as tension rises in the room. The harsh reality sinks in. Jae-hyun realizes the situation outside might be far worse than the family imagines. Determined to help, Jae-hyun accesses his interface, ready to explore the store for possible resources they might need. Jae-hyun scans the store options, noting the limited capacity. He considers expanding it to stock more essential items. He opens the skill window, evaluating different upgrades available to enhance his store and its functionality. Among the options, the storage upgrade catches his attention, allowing him to stockpile items in an alternate dimension. Jae-hyun clenches his fist, selecting the upgrade with confidence, knowing this decision could significantly help the family. The system prompts him for confirmation, and without hesitation, Jae-hyun finalizes the purchase to increase the store's capacity. A notification appears. The store is now at level 2, increasing the item limit and applying a small discount to purchases. Jae-hyun smirks at the unexpected discount, feeling a sense of progress. Small wins matter in this unfamiliar system. 2 points remain for upgrades, and Jae-hyun contemplates whether to focus on expanding the store further or preserving dignity. He considers the possibility of more citizens arriving, prompting him to think long-term about their collective needs. Jae-hyun spends his remaining points, pushing the store to level 3, unlocking the ability to restore items in his possession. Kim Jae-hyun reflects on the new function. Restoring old items into usable ones seems more valuable than he initially thought. He smiles with satisfaction, feeling the store upgrade was worth the investment. The ability to renew items could be vital. Hae-hyun opens the store, scanning the list for essentials. Clean water and simple food seem like a good starting point. He selects bottled water and tangerines, confirming the purchase, knowing these supplies will help the family. Before finalizing, Jae-hyun glances at his other skills. Increasing the level of his dignity preservation feels like the next step. Hae-hyun smirks. By offering basic utilities to others, he realizes he can gain leverage, asking for favors in return. As his dignity preservation reaches level 2, a new message pops up. Vassals can now be registered under his authority. The concept of vassals intrigues Jae-hyun. The potential of expanding his influence excites him, though the term feels odd. While pondering the idea, Jae-hyun watches the father quietly prepare to leave the house, gathering supplies for the journey. As the man opens the door, Jae-hyun's gaze lingers. The risks outside are growing, and even small trips feel dangerous. The father hugs his wife and children, reassuring them with soft words as he prepares to venture out for supplies. His daughter clings to his leg, nervous. The father gently pats her head, promising to return safely before nightfall. As he steps outside, his daughter pleads with him to stay. Her fear of monsters lurking nearby grows stronger. Tears well up in her eyes. She remembers the stories about strange creatures roaming the streets after dark. The father kneels, gently wiping her tears, but his face reveals the same fear. He knows the dangers are real. Laughter fills the air as the two children play near the slide, unaware of the lurking danger just beyond the fence. In an instant, shadows emerge, revealing grotesque figures, monsters closing in with terrifying speed and hunger in their eyes. The children freeze in shock, their playful energy replaced by fear as they grasp each other's hands tightly. With panicked urgency, they run, their small legs carrying them away from the terrifying creatures approaching from behind. Breathless and frightened, the children race toward safety, their hearts pounding louder than the monster's growls. The monsters close the gap, and just as the creatures lunge forward, the family barely escapes by a narrow margin. The father shields his daughters, trembling but holding firm as they retreat further inside. Tears stream down the children's faces as their mother pulls them into a tight embrace, whispering soft reassurances. The father watches, feeling the weight of responsibility heavier than ever. He knows this may be his final time seeing them. His gaze lingers on his family, burning the image into his heart before stepping outside to face the unknown. The father hesitates near the door, gripping his weapon as if it's the only thing keeping him grounded. A sudden chime echoes through the silent hall, a sound that shouldn't exist in a world like this. The family flinches as the doorbell rings again, the unexpected noise sending shivers down their spines. The father cautiously approaches the door, unsure if salvation or danger waits on the other side. A voice calls from beyond the door, polite yet unsettling. "Excuse me, please open the door." The father hesitates, clutching his weapon tightly as he tries to decide whether the voice outside belongs to friend or foe. He contemplates the risk. While it could be someone in need, the possibility of a disguised monster lingers in his mind. His wife and children watch in silence, tension filling the room as they brace for whatever may come next. The father takes a cautious step forward, calling out softly to the unknown figure beyond the door. Knocking intensifies, but no immediate response follows, heightening the unease spreading through the small apartment. The knocking suddenly stops, leaving the family in an eerie silence. The father listens closely, unsure if the danger is past. With his heart pounding, he wonders if the presence has moved on or is quietly waiting just outside. His grip tightens around the weapon, the weight of protecting his family making him second-guess every sound. A faint noise echoes from the hallway, prompting him to cautiously approach the door, nerves fraying with each step. As he peers through the peephole, his expression shifts, relief mixing with confusion at what he sees beyond the door. Bursting with fear, the father shields his family as he yells, convinced danger is about to strike. His children cling to their mother, tears welling as they anticipate the worst. The father's voice trembles with desperation. Suddenly, a calm voice greets them from the hallway. Kim Jae-hyun stands casually at the door, offering a friendly wave. The father stares in disbelief, his fear turning to confusion. The unexpected appearance of Jae-hyun leaves him speechless. Jae-hyun smiles, tilting his head slightly. "Hi, excuse me," he says, as if nothing strange had just happened. Kim Jae-hyun stands at the doorway, introducing himself calmly despite the tension in the air, his hands raised in reassurance. He explains he brought supplies, his casual tone a stark contrast to the family's anxious expressions and guarded body language. The father's eyes widen in disbelief, recognizing the significance of Jae-hyun's offer. Hope flickers, but hesitation lingers. The mother pulls the children close, silently assessing Jae-hyun. Desperation outweighs fear as survival instincts kick in. The father lowers his guard slightly, reasoning that water and food are too valuable to refuse in these dire circumstances. With a nod, the father invites Jae-hyun inside, his voice softer now. This stranger might just be their lifeline.